I think most people would accept that we're riding our way into a storm, and that in fact the storm has already reached its arms around us. We're in the embrace of the storm. I feel, and perhaps others also feel, that this storm will only intensify and become more and more shocking in many ways. Perhaps in different ways around the world, but one way or another, all humanity and all species will feel the impacts of how we've chosen, as our species, human beings, how we've chosen to orchestrate, design and embody our presence on this earth. So the Hearth program, which is what I'm speaking about today, the Hearth is Embercombe's offering, built around the notion of how do I sustain within the storm? How do I find resilience? How can I place my roots so deeply into life that no matter how shocking the wind might blow, I will remain planted, knowing who I am and knowing what it is I should do. In many ways, it's about deep listening and deep feeling into myself, into nature, and into the call that is asked of me. For that reason, we stay rooted in nature during the Hearth. We don't go up to the top of the hill where Embercombe has its workshop space and facilities of various kinds. We stay in the woods, on the land, close to nature. It is the offering and the idea, in a way, that Embercombe extends, that it is in nature and in close and deep relationship to nature that we can find true security. The bonds that we once had with nature were fractured, and I would say almost completely, but not completely, severed a long, long time ago. I've many times spoken about a period in our history on these islands when we used to build our homes with the doorways facing the rising sun. Something like 90% or more of our homes were built in this way, irrespective of whether that meant that the east wind would come hurtling through the front door or the north or whatever. Because we understood on some level, we knew deep in our hearts that the rising of the sun symbolized something, that our respect and reverence for this phenomena drew us into relationship. There's every reason to suppose that when we hunted, as we certainly would have done a long time ago, that we were in same relationship with those creatures that we hunted as many, if not most, indigenous peoples. In other words, with love in our hearts, with respect, with a feeling that we would take what we needed, but we wouldn't destroy, if you like, or trample the means for those creatures to then multiply and also have their lives and continue to be able to provide us with food. So those times are gone in these islands, and we are where we are. But if we don't still feel kinship with nature, real deep kinship, not a kind of sentimentalized kinship, but really feel into why it is that we love birds and birdsong, what it is that fills our hearts with so much joy every time spring comes round and all the trees begin to leaf up and the whole place is garlanded with flowers and a sense of new beginnings. We need to find our way to know why it is that we even bother to plant trees in our cities and gardens, and why gardens matter, why flowers matter, why all of these things matter, why some of us feel drawn in all kinds of different ways to understand and live in greater empathy with nature. And the roots, I would say, is because we are nature, and that's been largely forgotten. And when we know that we are nature, when in our very bones, when we know that the heartbeat that we experience in our own bodies is somehow also the rhythm that is beating, the drum that is beating through all life. It's the heartbeat of every living creature that we know of, the heartbeat of the rhythm of the seasons, the heartbeat of the rotation of the planets around the sun, then I think there comes a kind of peacefulness and a kind of settling and a kind of deep knowing that we are called to live consciously at this time and offer what we can. And that is not the focus of the hearth, but the focus of the hearth is, where do I need to be if I am to do that? I need to be rooted. I need to be fully somehow feel nature flowing through me and know that my spiritual heartland somehow is located in my kinship with the natural world, that I belong just as the beech trees belong, just as the foxes belong, and that we are a family. And from that very beautiful place of deep knowing, we are resilient and strong in a way that many people will never get to experience and never know. From that place, we can sustain. And the storm may rage around us, but we won't forget who we are. And we will be like the didgeridoo player, because we'll be making music even as we breathe in and out. We won't be, as it were, sustaining something for a period of time and then gulping for air as we try and rush off and restore ourselves. We'll be embodying our lives while also moving and dancing in symphony with everything else that's moving around us. Really hope that you will consider coming and joining us on the Hearth, and I think that you'll find it a deeply profound and nourishing experience.